Whiplash.
Evan Peters, the guy who zooms around as Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, is totally up for starring in his own flick as the Speedy Mutant. He's been dashing through scenes in 3 X-Men films already, even popping up in Deadpool 2 and doing a quirky cameo in WandaVision. He first zipped onto the screen in X-Men Days of Future Past, helping Wolverine on a time-traveling mission to save the day. Then, in X-Men Apocalypse, he lent a hand in stopping Apocalypse from wrecking the world. And in Dark Phoenix, he's expected to be all grown up and superhero-like. Chatting with Entertainment Tonight, Peters spilled the beans, saying he'd absolutely jump at the chance to lead his own movie as Quicksilver. He's all about those cool effects and epic sequences, plus he loves working with the crew. Sounds like a speedster solo flick could be a blast. Even though a Quicksilver solo flick might sound like a long shot at first, considering the history of solo films in the X-Men universe over at 20th Century Fox, it's not entirely out of the question. Remember the plans for a Gambit movie back in 2019? Yeah, that didn't quite pan out. And they were also tossing around ideas for Kitty Pryde, Multiple Man, and X-23, but those ended up in the cancellation bin. But hey, given how much fans dig Evan Peters' take on Quicksilver, especially after his quirky turn in WandaVision, it's not too wild to think that a Quicksilver movie could happen down the line. After all, stranger things have happened in the mutant universe. It's interesting to note the difference in treatment between Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They told me you control metal.
Hey.
You know, my mom once knew a guy who could do that.
While Evan Peters' Quicksilver is potentially gearing up for his own solo adventure, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver met a rather unfortunate fate in Avengers Age of Ultron. Many fans were disappointed by his limited screen time and ultimate demise, especially considering how his sister Scarlet Witch has flourished in the MCU, landing major roles and even getting her own series. With Scarlet Witch becoming a pivotal character in the MCU, some fans are holding out hope for Quicksilver's return, perhaps through the magic of time travel in Avengers 4. It's a testament to the contrasting approaches between Fox and Marvel when it comes to their treatment of the mutant speedster. Who knows, maybe both Peters and Taylor Johnson's versions of Quicksilver will get their chance to shine in their respective universes. Evan Peters' Quicksilver has really stolen the spotlight compared to the MCU's take on the character. You see, in the X-Men movies, they've had the chance to dig into his connection with his dad, Magneto. So if they go ahead with a Quicksilver movie, there's a chance to really dive deep into that father-son dynamic, which hasn't been explored much in previous films. It could add a whole new layer to his story. Quicksilver sure knows how to stir things up. In his comic debut, Quicksilver No Surrender, he pulls off quite the prank on his mutant dad, Magneto. Magneto is frozen in time, and Quicksilver decides to have a little fun, turning him into a clown. Yep, you heard that right. In the debut issue of Marvel's Quicksilver No Surrender comic, our speedy hero finally gets his chance to settle the score with a frozen Magneto. While time stands still, Quicksilver pulls a hilarious stunt by dressing up the Master of Magnetism as none other than a clown. The comic, announced back in February, ties into the aftermath of the epic Avengers No Surrender event. You know, the one where 3 Avengers teams team up to save the world from the Grand Master and his bro, the Challenger? Yeah, that one. During all that chaos, most of Earth's heroes were frozen solid, unable to lend a hand until Quicksilver kicks things into high gear. He reaches this insane new level of speed, seemingly sacrificing himself in the process. At the end of it all, the Avengers salute him as a hero, but Scarlet Witch has a gut feeling that her brother isn't really gone. For fans, this moment finally gives Quicksilver the recognition he deserves in the superhero spotlight. About time, right? In the first issue of Quicksilver No Surrender, we catch up with Pietro, who's alive and kicking, but things are definitely not normal. Time has frozen, leaving everyone stuck mid-moment. Turns out, Pietro's been ripped out of regular time, leaving him feeling pretty isolated and bored. So what else does he do to pass the time? Well, he gets a little mischievous. First stop, a costume shop, where he transforms Magneto into a clown and snaps a selfie for posterity. But that's not the end of his shenanigans. He ropes in Rogue and Human Torch to carry a "I'm with stupid" sign as payback for Rogue giving him the boot from the Avengers for being too reckless. You see, Quicksilver's always had a bit of a rough time getting along with others. His impatience and arrogance tend to rub people the wrong way. This goes way back to the days of the Cap's kooky quartet in the 60s, where his big ego clashed with Hawkeye's. Even now, his teammates doubt him. He got blamed for another Avengers injury, got the boot from Rogue, and was benched, again by Rogue, during Avengers No Surrender. Tough break, huh? Quicksilver's mischievous antics in his latest comic series are a real treat for fans of the speedy superhero, especially those who've enjoyed Evan Peters' portrayal in the recent X-Men movies. Peters' Quicksilver is all about using his super speed to pull off pranks, and seeing a similar playful side in the comics might be a refreshing change for fans, considering comic book Quicksilver is usually portrayed as more serious. As the series unfolds, we can expect more of Quicksilver's schemes to get even with those he's not too fond of. With stories like these, it feels like a Quicksilver solo movie is just waiting to happen, don't you think? Speedsters like Quicksilver can really shake things up in movies, but they come with their own set of challenges. In comics, it's often accepted that power dampening is just part of the plot, but in movies, it's trickier to explain why a super speedy hero doesn't just solve every problem in a flash. Think about it. Most movie conflicts revolve around time constraints. There's always a race against the clock. Quicksilver's level of speed in the films is so extreme that it's like he's hitting pause or slowing everything down to a crawl, making you wonder why he doesn't just zip through every challenge. That's why in Days of Future Past, he only had a quick cameo, and in Apocalypse, he's sidelined for a good chunk of the movie or put on errand duty until the big finale. They had to introduce mega powerful villains like Apocalypse just to give him a chance to shine without making everything too easy. Sure, he's likely to have a bigger role in the next film because he's such a fan favorite now, but in a solo movie, they'll have to get creative to rein in his cinematic S-tier powers. It's easier to balance in group films where they can come up with ways to keep him in check. Otherwise, imagine him facing off against baddies like Sabretooth or Toad. It'd be over in a flash. I mean, if Quicksilver had been around during Infinity War and Endgame, he'd definitely have made a difference. Think about it. During the battle on Titan, he could have zoomed in and lent a hand, maybe even annoying Thanos enough to distract him, and even though he's not as strong as Spider-Man, his crazy speed could have helped turn the tide. Who knows, he might have even had a shot at snagging the gauntlet. And at the Battle of Wakanda, he could have been all about rescuing folks, since he's not exactly known for his muscle or durability. Plus, he would have been on guard to prevent Vision from getting blindsided by Corvus Glaive, maybe even swooping in to carry them to safety. And don't even get me started on the Battle of Avengers compound. With his super speed, he could have whisked Peter away from the chaos, with both of them protected by Peter's spider arms and spider sense. Quicksilver could have really shaken things up, especially now that the MCU could use a game-changer more than ever. So, what do you think? Would Quicksilver have made a big impact in those movie battles and incoming movies? Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you. And make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any updates. Hit that bell icon too, because you wouldn't want to miss a thing. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in our next video.